Laurie Huston's News for the Heart is dedicated to helping you give a voice to your own soul. Our hearts have the power to free us from pain and the struggles that keep us from awakening to our true essence. Join Laurie now as we delve into our heart and soul to find the path that will open us to the possibilities and lead us to the life we love to live.
And good afternoon. This is News for the Heart. Well, it is the second Tuesday of July. I know I say this every month, but it's like, where is the time going?
And it's so hot.
Oh my goodness. Well, actually, a year ago today, or a year ago yesterday, but the date was a year ago today, was the day I moved. And it was this hot. Plus, we had the worst pollution ever. So that was a really difficult day of moving. However, welcome Tracy McBurney to the show. We're going to explore some ideas today because it's an interesting concept of the unconscious mind. And we're looking at, where the power flows from, whether the God mind and the unconscious mind. Anyway, it sounds like it's going to be a fun discussion. So let's hear it. Welcome, Trace.
Hey, I'm listening for the laugh. This is so good. Nice to be here. Nice to have air conditioning.
Oh, we wouldn't be here if we didn't. Trust me.
We'd be wilting.
Yes. In an attic.
Okay, well, again, it's the second month where I've come to you hat in hand and said, I have no idea what to talk about. I have no idea what we're doing. But a couple of hours before we spoke, I was just contemplating something that had been just pretty interesting to me over the last little while. And I just call it the power of the unconscious mind. And just witnessing that unbelievable mind's capacity for decision making for us, where the conscious mind is still potentially analyzing something or getting to the last stages before it says yes. And it's like the shift is already happening because the unconscious mind has made the decision to change, has made the decision to unlock something, has made the decision to rebalance something, heal something, let love in, let light in. And yeah, it's really, really amazing to be in the presence of the minds operating like that when it happens. And so just witnessing that, pondering that, looking at that, and remembering teaching just a little bit about this very interesting thing of minds and the different levels of mind in the psychology of disease class or in the energy medicine class at IHN. And I can remember, and it was a really cool place to teach it because I would use the long tables to give people a little bit of a visual if people needed that visual. And to make maybe the class just a little more interesting, or maybe for some people who are really smart in the back, just a little more stupider. I don't know. You just never know how some people took some of the crazy things that I did. But I can remember trying to do this and work with garbage cans and recycling bins and things and big long tables. And the big long table, which really was in that classroom, a big long table. And I would literally say, just vision that as the unconscious mind, like the ever expanding unconscious mind, where the conscious mind that's above it is quite small. Like the news bites that can come in through the conscious mind before they have to be dumped into the unconscious, it's not a large mind. Right. But here at the unconscious level, it's the ever expanding mind. Like we can literally take anything in and deliver it into that level. And one thing that stands in the way of that is our unwillingness to just make space, within us, within our own thinking, to be more open-minded, to make space, just to even bring it in through the back door, bypassing the conscious mind completely, just like a computer, bringing it in through the back door and then right into the unconscious. And then using the garbage cans to say, all right, and then there you are at the unconscious level, and within the unconscious mind, Here's the garbage can that represents the layers of subconscious mind data information, billions and billions and billions of bits of information, and all of that is housed in the unconscious mind. And it's just a tape recorder system. It's an endless tape recording system. And there is no decision-making process that ever happens in that tape recording system. It's just you can lock in, access something from a certain age, you can access it, open it up, run it again, deliver it in, but there's no decision-making process that happens. It's you can make new decisions from bringing in those time loops, but it itself is just a tape recording system. But to really recognize that we have decision-making potential at this unconscious level, not just consciously. So we can, get ourselves all involved in unwilling at the conscious mind level, where we can have some level of willingness that starts to open up unconsciously. And you're going, wow, that's super interesting. And then it's to also say to people, here's your ever expanding unconscious mind. It's got this giant data bank of tape recorders in the subconscious system. And then over here, here's my other garbage can. And underneath this subconscious mind, like it's super unconscious, is what I'm going to call your God mind or your sage mind, your wise you that could be deeply unconscious, like deeply embedded underneath the table, still part of the subconscious mind, but deeply embedded. And one of the things that we're doing in finding ourselves is bringing that from underneath the table in the unconscious into more availability by bringing it up onto this level of unconscious. And then having the conscious mind recognizing it, like recognizing this resource and being able to consciously access it. And maybe even having the unconscious mind, crazy as that is, because if it's underneath and the deeply embedded, maybe the unconscious mind doesn't recognize that resource of God mind until we make the shift to bring the garbage can from down there up here.
Right.
And just to kind of sit with that. And then you kind of sit with like, well, where am I? Where am I in all of this? If any of this is true, like if any of this is how the minds work, then where am I in this process? Have I left my God mind so deeply unconscious that my unconscious isn't even aware that it is within it, that is a resource within it? So the decision-making processes that the unconscious mind have is not even accessing that portion of me in mind? Well, shit. Well, so I like to play the what if game, right? So right. The what if game, accessing the right brain, accessing imagination, accessing visionary. So then it's kind of like, okay, well, what if that's true? What if I have a divine God mind? And what if it is deeply, deeply unconscious? What if it's deeply, deeply unconscious so my unconscious ever expanding mind doesn't even know it's fucking there? And it has the capacity to make decisions, but it's not accessing that because it's so deeply, deeply unconscious. It's not even aware of it. So then what makes my unconscious mind aware of that? Well, maybe this radio show makes it aware. Who knows? For somebody who knows. But maybe one of the things that brings that awareness to us is really troubling challenges.
Right.
Really troubling challenges, or maybe something like what happened to Dr. Joe Dispenza happens, where you literally have an accident and you literally create crushing problems for 8 vertebrae, and then have the doctor saying, well, you're never going to walk again. And then your soul, your being, your whole essence unifying and saying, well, that's not going to be the way. And then, well, what are you doing with that? Mm-hmm. Well, somehow through that horrible experience, is that what's getting you really finding that resource? because initially the meditations for him weren't working. They were doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
He said until he figured out how to meditate properly. And I'm going, well, what does that mean? Does that mean until you figured out that you had this deep resource of mind, something like deeply buried in that unconscious, and started to access it? Is that what that means? And then you started to make that more available, and then you started to bring that from there up to bioavailable to the unconscious level, and started to, like, it's just a very interesting piece.
Mm-hmm.
So then we go back to the what if. So what if? What if anything that I'm saying is true? What if there is a divine God mind, or what the positive intelligence people like to call sage self or sage wisdom? Because they want to avoid anything that has any kind of a religious modeling, and I don't, that's great. So they refer to that as sage. And so what if it's there at the unconscious level, but we're not accessing it? It's underneath the table. It's still unconscious, but it's so deeply unconscious. It's inaccessible, unknowable to the unconscious mind. So if that's the case, well, I don't want that. I don't want that. I want that moved. I want that made available. I don't like the idea that it's underneath that table. I don't like that it's down 3 levels at the unconscious mind, so my unconscious mind isn't accessing that, if in fact that's real and true, and it's available to my unconscious and available to my conscious and available to me for healing and available to me to meditation. Now I need to change that. I need to change that right now. Right now. And I want to do that right now.
Me too.
So, Dr. Karen Kahn would maybe had the affirmation, and, with ease, speed, and grace in the highest and best divine way, I allow for that to happen. I allow for that to happen. Nidhu Kapoor, with her decrees, her beautiful decrees, she would literally look at that and say, yeah, make that so. Make that so. I have spoken. I have spoken, make that so.
Do you think that's the soul voice that's saying that, or is that just you trying to control everything?
Take charge of making me more accessible to me. Yeah. So sure, you could call that control. I call that taking charge of me, making myself, if that is part of myself and it is not accessible to me, then I am taking greater charge of that predicament, and I am commanding that.
Okay. But that goes back to that question that I asked earlier, is before the podcast. Does it only happen though when we're ready, or is it because we're now aware that we can make that declaration and have it be so? Maybe
all of it. Maybe all of it, right? But if you think about the unconscious mind is an ever expanding mind, and that's what they're saying, it's an ever expanding mind, like the universe is an ever expanding mind. Right. Then I want that ever expanding mind to accept and allow for whatever's underneath it, whatever's sitting there in deep underground unawareness. I am choosing to make space in that ever expanding mind to bring that up, to raise that up and bring that into being online.
Right.
That's what I want. Raise it up, like the elevator, raise that up. And if there are any blocks, reversals, resistances, interferences, obstacles, invisible obstacles, that as long as it is safe, appropriate, in highest and best interest of me and highest and best interest of the all, then I allow for that. In other words, the concept of never wanting to do harm, never wanting to do harm to my neurology, never wanting to do harm to my brain, to my body, to my beingness, to anything. But I want this. I want this, if this is real and true, I want this to be more accessible to me at the unconscious level, and therefore more accessible to my unconscious and more accessible to my conscious. Make that change. And I am open to making that change. And I don't really care why that's happened.
Right.
I'm not even investigating the why that's happened. I just want this to change now. I want to have more access to that aspect of my mind. I want my mindsets to have that more accessible to me, not somehow invisible within the mindset. So it's deeply buried. No wonder my ego, my wounded ego, my survival minds weren't engaging with it, weren't knowing about it. It was kind of invisibly sitting there, deeply buried underground. Maybe. Or maybe they were never going to know about it. They were in their illusion of separation. They were in their whatever. Right. And maybe I could investigate that as the philosopher for a couple of hours. But this is what I want. More of me in mind available to me, more easily available to me. Not because I'm good, not because I don't eat pork, not because I'm wearing white, not because I'm chanting this or chanting that, or like, not for any of those, just because I want what I want.
Yes.
And I may have done some very bad things. I still want what I want. I want more accessibility to that aspect of my mind. If in fact that aspect of my mind exists.
Right.
I want to know it. And maybe that aspect of my mind could help me to make peace with some of the things that I am still holding as my own badness. Wouldn't that be good?
We do like to judge ourselves as well as others.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting when you say that. I liked sitting. I did a whole coaching course, from the positive intelligence people, and I absolutely appreciated it. And I liked that over and over and over again, they would mention the survival mind aspect of the judge and how it was the first of the survival minds coming out to play. And then, as they put it, it would then wake up other aspects of survival mind, the controller, the hypervigilant, the hyperachiever, the victim, the avoider. They had a whole list of different names to give us an understanding of what we might be dealing with in mind, other than that aspect of ourself that they call sage, that somebody else might call God mind, somebody else might call divine mind, that all-wise mind that had connection to that place of love within us, that source place of love within us. And I just thought, and then I thought, if the unconscious mind has decision-making power, and it does, and I love watching that happen, where you're already feeling, because I'm a kinesthetic feeling person, so I can feel the change already happening as the conscious mind is still a little bit struggling with, I'm going to say yes and I'm willing to say yes. That person's consciously, about 20 seconds after the change starts to hit, is gone to the place of, well, yep, okay, that makes sense to me, yep. And I'm kind of smiling, going, it's already happening. It's already happening. The unconscious mind's already got in play. And it's just an amazing thing to witness what's going on here. The open door to healing something, rebalancing something, changing something, freeing something, unlocking something that happens ahead of the conscious mind actually saying yes.
Right.
Actually saying, I am willing. There is a unconscious I am willingness that has preceded it. And then I say to myself, that unconscious willingness that has preceded this, that has operated seconds, if not a half a minute before that person says yes. Is that decision connected to divinity? Is it connected to the divine mind? Is that ultimately at the unconscious mind level the decision maker? Or not? Or are there decisions that are being made at the unconscious level that can happen before that decision is just seated with at the conscious mind level and have no connection to that divinity within us? And at which point you kind of go, well, then if that's the case, then what's making that decision? What's in charge of that decision?
Right.
And I said to you before we got on the call, I said, I don't have the answers to some of these things. I'm still pondering it. I am very curious about this ever expanding mind that we're calling the unconscious mind. Its power, its capabilities, where its capabilities are coming from. Is it always ultimately accessing that divinity within us, even if it's deeply, deeply, deeply underground? Is this unconscious mind tagged in neurology to our guides? So is it actually our guides that have some, I like to think of our official guidance team, I call them, it's like the guides that have the thrones. And I'm not really a visual person, but that's what I saw one day. It's like they say that every human has the official guidance team of 3. And I remember the first woman that made this suggestion to me. She wrote a book called, Oh God, What's Happening to Us? Her name has gone out of my head. I'm not recommending that anybody run out and buy the book. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because the book, although it had many, many interesting things to consider, and I like Jennifer McLean, when another mentor that I like to listen to, when she says to consider something is to expand consciousness. So there were many, many things to consider in the book as she wrote it. But what I also saw was a lot of judgment. And I know that when we are in judgment of anything, we are never with our clearest self, and we are never seeing as far and wide as we can see. Which means when the judge is out to play in the survival mind, there's always stuff that we're missing. No matter what that might think. So we go back to that book, and it was in that book that was the first time that I ever understood this concept of official guidance team, and that what she was saying was 3. And she said sometimes if people have careers like a medical doctor, a surgeon, something, a lawyer of some sort, a judge, that they might actually have 4. And what I saw was like thrones, almost like very special energies sitting on thrones, and those thrones were very connected into the neurology of us. So it's almost like what they think comes right in as our thoughts. Like we are one with them. And one of the things that she was talking about was then you have the dark guides and then you have the light guides. And if you find that you've got dark guides, you got to get rid of the dark guides because the dark guides are bad and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, here. Like all of this, you got to get rid of the darkness. You got to get rid of the darkness. You got to cleanse it. You got to clear it. You got to purify. It's all bad. And I'm just like, this isn't washing with me. And I don't quite know what to think about this, but what I do know is the thoughts as she's delivering them to me are not digestible. They're filled with judgment, and they're not then filled with as much truth as I need. So now I've got to do more work. But I did some real deep diving on this concept of 3 guides. And it seems that that's credible. It seems that, you don't get away with being human here without having those 3 guides. So you're human with 3 guides. Maybe you're human with 4 guides, but you're human with 3 guides. And whether those guides are actually operating in light or whether those guides are actually operating in darkness, there are reasons why you might have 1 or more guides operating in darkness. And I got shown some very, very poignant, purposeful reasons why a soul might say yes to 1 or more guides sitting in those thrones with darkness. But that's what I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about unconscious mind. Are the guides in the sense that those particular guides have absolute access to our neurology, like access to us, access to our thinking, access to our gut brain, all of these different master brains. They have access to all of it. Like they have access, they are part of our wholeness and they have access to our wholeness. So are they pulling the strings at the unconscious mind level? So if we have our God mind sitting deeply buried underground so that we're not even conscious of it at the unconscious level, the unconscious isn't even aware of itself at that level, then is that what's making decisions? Mm-hmm. Is our soul making decisions at the unconscious level? Is our spirit making decisions at the unconscious level? Is our higher self making decisions? I like that one as I grabbed onto that one. Mm-hmm. I like that one a lot. Like I used my feeling body, and as I grabbed onto that, like as I just said that one, I went, oh, I like that one a lot. Our higher self. Our higher self.
Matt Kahn would say that our higher self is our ego evolving and connecting to source. I don't know if I believe that, but that's what Matt Kahn believes.
Well, that's an interesting thing to contemplate. Mm-hmm. And so the divine light score on that. So the divine light score on seeing higher self of us as ego evolved in a connection to the soul of us, a connection like an elevated ego. So divine light score on that. I'm not getting a high enough light score on that.
I didn't either when he said it, but I thought it would be.
So again, I love him.
Yep.
Just going, I want to get a higher number to be able to say to me, I am following that. I am accessing that. Thank you for that. I move forward with that. I'm not moving forward with that. But so what's the divine light score on higher self, our higher self, having some connection, direct connection to us at the unconscious mind level? 8, 9, that's 100%. So that's the big number. That's 100%. Which means to me, at the unconscious level, when decisions are being made before the conscious mind has come into that final willingness, I am being well taken care of at that unconscious level.
Right.
So even if there is such a thing as my own divine mind, my own divine mind, and that is something that's maybe just a little different than me in relationship with my higher self. I am being well administered to, even if I am still unconscious, to a greater power of mind within myself. I am well administered to at that level. There is a higher level of thinking operating. So when I say there's a higher level of thinking operating at that level than there is potentially at the conscious mind level, what's the divine light score on that? 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 100%. There's a higher level of thinking going on. Whether I have any accessibility to what I'm calling the God mind, or right, whether I have any access, whether even that's real or true, there's a higher level of thinking operating, and I feel really good about that. There is a higher level of thinking operating at that unconscious level when decisions are made at that level than it is at that conscious level. So we are more engaged, we are smarter, we are wiser. We, when those doors open and healing starts to happen and things start to shift, blah, 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 we are more connected into a wiser us as that is happening. A higher self that knows our soul, knows our spirit, knows potentially the objectives of this life or this time. And I'm getting divine light score. Yeah, I have divine light score of 100% on that.
So is our higher self then our connection to this planet and our soul or our spirit or the divine?
Well, aren't these interesting questions, right? Like here we are in the investigative searching, right? Like, yeah, I think honestly, it's all, if we stay in body, if we're with our body, if we use that body, if we know what the yes, no is, if we know what it feels like when truth descends, and I know what it feels like when truth descends, when I'm in something that's real and true, like my name is Tracy, I know what that feels like. Some people see it, some people hear it, I feel it. I know what lie feels like. I know what, how maybe feels like. Right? And so you use your body as that discernment vehicle. Then the moment I start reaching for higher self, that's one of the times that I just went, wow, that feels really good. That feels really good. That feels really truthful. And so then it's kind of like it's a wonderful set of like, okay, so higher self. The higher self has awareness of my soul. Yes, it does. Higher self has awareness of my spirit. Yes, it does. Higher self has awareness of, I'm playing with this. Higher self has awareness of my joy. Yes. Higher self has awareness of greatest happiness for me. Greatest connection to what brings sparkle into my world, what brings joy into my world, what brings lightness into my world. My higher self works to that end, works to that level of connectedness. Yes. My higher self knows me. My higher self is me. I get a yes to that too.
What about you talk a lot about heart heals. So is our higher self our connection to our heart? Or is that separate something else?
No, because to me, it's all part of wholeness. So therefore, there's nothing operating in separation. It's all part of wholeness. The statement that I create, my higher self works with my source light. That feels right. My higher self is that source light. That doesn't feel as right as my higher self works with my source light, works in unification with my source light. That feels right. That feels better. My higher self works in unification or works with my all-knowing healing heart. Yes.
Is our higher self within us, or is it also above us? Is it the part of our consciousness, our unconsciousness, our subconsciousness? Definitely works with everything.
My higher self works with my unconscious mind. Yes. My higher self works with my conscious mind. Yes. My higher self works with the master brain of my head, my heart, my gut. Yes. My higher self works with all systems of the body. Yes. My higher self works with all the meridians of the body, whether they be Egyptian meridians that I've just found out about, whether they be the Chinese meridians, my higher self works with the energy systems of the body, the light systems of the body. My higher self knows those systems, all the systems, including the systems that maybe we haven't discovered. My higher self knows these, can engage with these. And I'm light score on that, 8, 9, yes. Could my higher self, all these things that I've mentioned, the Egyptian meridians, has my higher self always had knowledge and access of these? No.
Uh-huh.
And again, I don't know what to make of that. So as we become more knowledgeable, then the higher self of us can then comes to access those systems, or is open to those systems, or interfaces with those systems, or I'm getting a yes to that. Mm-hmm. Like works with those systems as they're made available, known, on the walls come down.
Right.
And it's interesting, like, does our higher self need upgrading?
Oh.
If they're ever out, and I'm getting a yes to that.
Wow. So our higher self is growing with us then.
Yes, maybe potentially to access and interface with that new system where the walls have just come down.
So there does have to be some awareness, consciously.
Yes.
Do we have to invite it in, or is it just always?
This is an interesting thing. Very like using something that's very new, that's been very new to me, and making it very relevant to this understanding for me and for you. So I stepped into a course by Martin Bird. So Martin Bird is a therapist, energy medicine person in Australia. And a lot of the things when I've stepped into his stuff has been super interesting, but also complicated, and, asking a lot of my brain. So therefore, in asking a lot of my brain, and therefore just like sometimes it's like, this is really interesting, but it's beyond my pay grade. Like it's just like, wow, you're really interesting to me, and maybe I'd like to do a session with you, or a session with one of the people that you've trained, but it just feels beyond my reach, or beyond my brain's reach, or just like something that just doesn't interest me because it just seems so complicated. You know me, I'm just like, keep it simple, smarty, right? Like just so this particular stuff that I sat in, I had booked the time to be a part of this class. So let's say I did that a week and a half before the class opened, and it's a Zoom class.
Okay.
So what I was just asking this question, given that I was going to do this class, and for whatever way that he was selling this, it was a free class. And I wasn't going to do it because it was free. I was going to do it because the way that he worded it, I just went, this is super interesting. And I want to sit with this. I don't know where this is going to go or whether I'm going to pull the ripcord on doing something greater that, from what he's delivering, but I want to sit with this. This is super interesting. And so that was a week and a half before the class opened. So I just asked the question, did my higher self, knowing where my willingness was, knowing where my interest was, like my big interest was, did my higher self do something in the background? Like get some sort of an upgrade or get some sort of whatever, to literally have me better prepared for that work, or be able to access what was going on there so that it could better understand. So forget the upgrade, like maybe did it go in the background, my higher self, to really just do the due diligence of understanding, like reading the booklet, and I'm getting a yes to that. So in other words, my higher self was ahead of me.
Right.
In what was going to be taught in that class.
Could that be how our intuition works? Is that it's our higher self nudging us towards something?
Like my higher self, like to me, I think some of it's soul nudging.
Yep.
Maybe it's higher self nudging. So then it's just a question of asking, like, did my higher self nudge me to this class? Was I nudged to this class because my soul wanted me here? Because there's something that has been constricting my soul that needed to be healed at this time, that needed to be better understood and cleared at this time. So it was my soul that was nudging, my higher self that was nudging. Like, these are interesting questions. But I definitely was going to go to this class. I didn't know if I was going to do anything more from that point, but I was going to go to that class. And I was going to listen to what it was that he had to say, and I really wanted to learn. So was that really wanting to learn? Was that nudged by my higher self? Was my really wanting to learn coming from my higher self's strong desire for this? That I get this, that I not play the, I don't have a brain for this or blah, 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 and making it easier? I don't know. Probably, I'm getting a yes to that. Because I was supposed to get something here. I was supposed to understand something here, get something here, interface with something here, have this usable information, not necessarily go on to other classes or something wider. And so my higher self went first.
Right.
Divine light score on that, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, it's 100%. So does that then bring me to a place of, I can get this? I can understand this? I get this? Does it bring me into a kind of a real feeling of, I get this? I understand this? Or disengage me from the nervousness or the doubt or the feeling like my brain can't take this or understand? It definitely disengaged me from something, because I sat in that class, and although some things got, a little complicated at times, I also was very clear to the fact that I don't need to know that. I don't need to understand that at that level. I need to be here. These are the things that I need to be aware of. These are the things that I was just seemed very clear about that. And I felt like, now that we're talking about it, I felt like it was my higher self anchoring me. Were one or more of my guides involved? Yeah. Like, was one of the thrones involved in the neurology? Then maybe. But it's like my unconscious mind, very quietly non-resistant to just learning. I'm just learning. I'm present. It's new information, but I'm present. I'm present. I'm learning. There isn't any monkey business. A whole bunch of things have been stilled. I'm just there. I'm learning. I'm getting it. I'm there. No monkey business. I'm learning. I'm getting it. I'm getting what it is that I need to get. And not at all upset about the stuff that I'm not getting, don't need. Like, there's clarity of not getting it, don't need it, don't worry. Like, it's like all of that is just taken care of. It's like something just taking care of me, getting what I need, shifting what I need, healing what I need, and exiting. And for days and days and days and days and days after that, I was like, wow, that was super cool. Like, that was super cool. That was really a gift. Like, for days and days and days, like, in the energy of that, like, right at that Egyptian plane of meridians and chakras and strings and things that I had started to understand, just still there, still with it, still at that level. And then it was just gone. It was just like, okay, I don't need to be there anymore right now. I don't like, and yeah, it was really cool. I can still remember the teachings. But I wasn't with it. It was almost like I was with the teachings. I was with the Egyptians. I was with everything. I was in it. I was healing something, rebalancing something, untying something. Like, it was really, really quite extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
And super, like, one of the beautiful takeaways from today is just being able to sit with that concept of, like, getting even that little answer. It feels really right. My higher self can be upgraded. Maybe we consciously need to do some of that. Maybe the higher self's doing that all on its own. A question to be asked about. Maybe a little of both, who knows? But just sitting with the concept of my higher self is right there, engaged with that unconscious mind, taking care of me, making decisions when I don't get it, like, I'm not missing a freaking thing. Like, if there is something that is really supposed to be healed, shifted, reconciled, repaired, blah, 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 and I'm still in the monkey business consciously of, if this is the right person, blah, 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 blah. It's just something gets said, something gets unlocked, and the unconscious mind just goes, well, I got it. That's enough. I got it. And I'm like, how super cool is that?
Very.
Calms me down a bit.
Right?
From that kind of, like, not wanting to miss something or not get something right or not dot that I or cross that T, or like, it's like something's got me. And something's with that mind. And even if there is a divine mind aspect, a God mind, it's like, it's there, making sure I find it. Making sure when it's time for it to rise, when it's time for it to be more unconscious, that it happens, that it's there. Like, it's just like, wow, how super cool is that?
Yeah.
And that's just not for me. That's for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
It's very. Yeah. Because we're not always thinking about it. We're just caught up in our lives. Sometimes we're really feel connected and we're in that bliss place. And then sometimes we just get caught up in everyday life. And then all of a sudden, yeah, something happens or whatever. And we know that our higher self is there for us, whether we're there or not. But yet we still have to invite it. We still have to engage. I don't know. Is that the right word? Engage?
Well, yeah, but I don't know. I don't know what the word is because I'm still sitting in this really cool kind of bliss place of just like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, I'm just I'm really thinking that's a pretty neat thing.
Cool.
Yeah. And as that's operating at all levels. That's operating for children. But it's also interesting to think that if that decision-making process in that moment at the unconscious level was higher self-inspired, that I didn't even have to think about that.
Right.
My conscious mind was somewhere else. Like my conscious mind was still in that moment having a discussion with myself. When that unlocked and shifted, it was almost like something just saying, that's enough. That's enough. Enough is known. Enough has been said. Enough has been understood. I get it. And this can shift now.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. Without me giving my unconscious mind permission to shift.
Hmm.
Yeah. And is that because my higher self is reading my soul playbook? That is literally going, hey, you know what? That's what your soul wanted. That's what your soul said. I'm just reading it. I'm just doing it. I got the permission from here.
Right.
Yeah. It's interesting to ponder all of it.
Mm-hmm. But great questions. Great concept.
Yeah. And I will be asking something like, what's the divine light score on that statement? Like, is my higher self actually reading the soul playbook of my soul from my soul, which is how it easily makes that decision to shift this before my conscious mind has even done that?
Right.
Does it, what's the divine light score on the higher self reading some playbook of my own soul? That's high too.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's going to be pretty high.
Yeah, that's high too.
Yeah.
Which I guess then speaks maybe about free will decisions, like soul's free will decision that happens maybe before I'm ever here.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, it's so super cool.
Very. Maybe next month we'll explore it further with more answers, or maybe it'll be something completely different.
Yeah, but I love the fact that we can leave anybody that's listening with the concept of they're sitting quietly in a non-judgmental place, just quietly, stilly in body, asking the simple question, what is the divine light score on blah, blah, blah? What I just said, what I just thought.
Right.
And I work out a 10, which means multiply that by 10 and it's 100%. Like I go just to 10. It's less time. More efficient. Virgo says it's just more efficient. If I can multiply by 10, right? So why don't I just do it like that? But yeah, just that concept. Like if I get a divine light score of 5 or 6 or 7, 8, it's not clear enough for me.
Right.
There's more to see, which I'm perfectly happy to sit and let ponder some more. Yeah. Me and my higher self and my unconscious mind and
Yes.
my soul playbook. Yeah. Interesting.
Very.
yeah, I am being taken care of.
Yes. Always.
When I don't see sometimes. And if I don't see and something goes on, I think that that really is because I wasn't supposed to see it. Because whatever this is that I'm engaged with, I'm supposed to be engaged with.
Yeah. Yeah.
The universe isn't operating against me, it's operating for me. And this for me piece is challenging, but it's for me.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, great show for not knowing what we are going to talk about. And it
Well,
evolved.
it evolved into something that I think is leaving me feeling pretty good.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm
so
excited to explore.
hopefully somebody finds it interesting. I found the hour interesting.
Me too. All right. You've been listening to News for the Heart. We begin at the heart of matters with Tracy McBurney, and wow, unconscious to higher self. I think we expanded something there.
Nice.
Love it. Thanks, Tracy.
Okay.